Your loan is in underwriting. Nothing is moving. Nobody's calling. And every day that passes, you start to wonder, did they forget about me? That's exactly how most Christians feel about God in a financial waiting season. But here's what I know after years in this business: a quiet file is not a forgotten file, and God is not forgotten yours. If you're watching right now and it feels like God has started something in your life and they went completely quiet, I want you to hear this before we go any further. That feeling is real. The silence is real. And I'm not going to stand here and tell you it is not hard. What I'm going to show you today is what is actually happening behind the scenes while you're sitting in that silence, because your file is not lost. It is being worked. What your file actually is. God knows every detail of your situation. He does not process files without incomplete information. Relate this to lending. In lending, your file is everything about you: your credit history, your income, your assets, your debts, the property you want to buy or refinance. It's your complete picture. Nothing is missing from it, period. When you submit your file, you hand it over and the process begins. You can't see what's happening, but the file is active. We're working it. God's file on you works the same way. He knows your history. He knows your capacity, your calling, your debts, your assets, the season that you're in, and where he's taking you next. He doesn't lose files. He does not forget files, and he does not process them half. Psalm 139:16. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Your file was open before you were born, and it's never been closed. That one hits home. Faith, having faith in God. What happens when your file goes quiet? Silence is not stalling. Underwriting, and in God's process, quiet means work is happening that you cannot see. In the lending world, when a file goes quiet, there are only two things happening. Either conditions are being worked behind the scenes, or the lender is waiting on something from you, the borrower. Most common reasons loans stall is not that the lender forgot, it's that they are waiting on a document, a letter of explanation, an updated bank statement, or an appraisal that comes in. Something you as the borrower have not submitted. It's on you. That's why we place expectations on you. Most borrowers assume the worst when they stop hearing from us. They think the deal is dead. Almost every time the file is just in process. God's the same way. When your season goes quiet, he's working on conditions you can't see, or he's waiting on something from you. Either way, the file is active. And when he's waiting on you, it's not the what. It's not the why. It is the what. What do you want for me to change, God? What do I need to change inside of me? God's provision does not show up on your timeline. It shows up when the conditions are met. That's not punishment. That is God's process. Biblical proof. Every major figure in Scripture who waited on God had an active file the whole time. The silence was never abandonment. It was God waiting on our conditions. For example, Joseph is really the anchor example in the Bible. 17 years old when God gave him the dream, 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, 13 years of silence between the promise and the palace. He gets thrown into a pit. He gets sold into slavery by his brothers. He's then picked up by Pharaoh's top commander, Potiphar, and he's head of his household. And then his wife decides that she finds him attractive, and he runs away and gets thrown in jail. That's tough. That's waiting. In those 13 years, the pit, Potiphar's house, the prison, the cupbearer who forgot him, every single one of those was a condition being cleared on his file. The pit that he was thrown in stripped him of his pride. Potiphar's house gave him administrative experience. The prison put him in a position to interpret the dream. None of this was random. All this was part of God's underwriting. God wasn't silent during Joseph's waiting season. He was processing the file. Joseph just could not see the back office work happening. Lamentations 3:25. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. The waiting is not the punishment. The waiting is the process. Your situation right now is not evidence that God forgot you. It is evidence that he is being thorough. What do you do while your file is being processed? There are things that help the process and things that blow it up. You need to know the difference. In lending, the worst thing a borrower can do during underwriting is make a major financial change, a new credit card, job change, a large cash withdrawal, a large cash deposit with no paper trail. Any of those can kill the file or send it back to the beginning. The borrowers who close the fastest are the ones who stay still, they respond to every condition, and quickly trust the process. The spiritual equivalent has 3 parts. Do not make desperate moves. When the season goes quiet, the temptation to force something is wrong. Taking a shortcut, no bueno. Make a deal you should not make. No way. Go outside God's process to get the outcome faster. That's the equivalent of opening a new credit card in underwriting. It does not speed things up. It sets you back and potentially kills the deal. Respond to every condition promptly. When God asks something of you, do it. A prompting to give, a conversation to have, a decision to make. That's a condition on your file. Do not sit on it. Act accordingly and make sure you're responding to God. Trust the processor. You would not call your lender 47 times a day demanding updates. You would trust what they know and what they're doing. God knows what he's doing, and he has processed millions upon millions of files. Yours is not the first one, nor will it be the last one. James 1:4. Let patience have its perfect work. James 1:4. Let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. The process is completing something in you and not just arranging something for you. Your file is not lost with God. It's never been lost. God opened it before you were even born, and he's not set it down since. The silence that you're sitting in right now is not evidence of abandonment. It is evidence that something is being worked that you cannot see yet. Stay in the process. Respond to the conditions. Do not blow up the file by making desperate moves. Drop a comment below. What condition do you think God might be working in your file right now? I read all the comments. While God is processing your file, there's one thing that will make the wait feel 10 times harder than it has to be. And most people never identify it as a sin. That is what the next video is all about. It's right here. Go check it out.